What's up everyone, Piscean here, and with the help of Grok AI, I'm bringing you advanced natal chart rectification and analysis for Christopher Johnson Mcandless, or Chris Mcandless. You might know him as Alexander Supertramp. I am doing this video specifically because when I was a junior and senior in high school, my English teacher had taught us the story of Into the Wild, and we also watched a film based on the real story, of course, of Christopher Mcandless, who was an individual who ended up leaving everything he had behind, burning all of his money, leaving college, leaving everything, his family, all of it. It's a huge story. I suggest you check out the movie. I suggest you read the book, Into the Wild. Before we continue on with this video, please like, subscribe, comment, share if you dare, and care with peace and love. I would really, really appreciate it, as I do want to be the first successful AI-integrated advanced astrology YouTuber. So, let's get into these celestial insights. And again, thank you to Grok for helping me craft this rectification and analysis. So, Chris Mcandless was born February 12th in 1968. He struggled quite a bit. If you've read his story, you know. And so we see that this document here presents a high-vigor rectification validation, psychological and archetypal analysis, and original technical techniques applied to one of the most mythologized modern American lives. It is intended as a portfolio-grade astrological research deliverable. All right. So we have the birth data and rectification methodology here. And I'm also going to make two other rectification videos in regards to celebs. For right now, I have Chris Mcandless, which we're doing right now, and then I'm also going to be talking about the band Skunk and Nancy and rectifying each individual member's chart, as well as the rapper Bus Driver. I'm going to be rectifying his chart and going over this stuff with the help of my AI agents as well. So I hope to see you guys there. Stay tuned. Turn the bell notifications on so you can make sure you know whenever I upload. So the primary source is Astro Databank, Rod and Rating AA. Birth certificate in hand, collected by Victor E., with the recorded time being 4:14 p.m. PST, February 12, 1968, in Inglewood, California. Many popular sources list El Segundo. The certificate places the birth in the Inglewood jurisdiction, so the difference is negligible for most house systems at this latitude. Because an AA-rated time certificate exists, classical unknown time rectification is not required. Instead, this dossier applies advanced validation rectification, testing the recorded time against major life events via secondary progressions, as well as solar arcs and transits to angles and lunar returns, while also exploring the sensitivity of a chart to adding, subtracting 15 through 20-minute shifts. This is an original event density confirmation protocol designed for high-profile public lives. Original rectification protocol used. So the event angle locking, major documented events, college graduation and departure, 1990. Final departure into Alaska, April 28th, 1992. As well as death window, mid-August of 1992, are tested for tight contacts to the ascendant, midheaven, natal sun, moon, and the Leo moon ascendant conjunction. Progress moon arc. So the progress moon's position at key turning points is examined for house and aspect resonance with the leaving civilization theme. Solar arc directions, SA ascendant, SA midheaven, SA sun to natal outer planets and node are scored. Sensitivity band charts for 1550, 1614, and 1640 are compared for stability of the Leo ascendant and the ultra-tight moon ascendant conjunction, the signature of the chart. Archetypal coherence test. Does the time chart produce a coherent psychological narrative that matches the documented personality and choices better than neighboring times? In conclusion of validation, the recorded 1614 time produces an exceptionally coherent chart. The moon at 7 degrees 25 Leo sits within 0 degrees 20 of the Leo ascendant at 7 degrees 45. This is one of the tightest moon ascendant conjunctions in public life research and is retained under small time shifts. No superior alternative time emerges from the event tests. the AA data is accepted as primary. Alright. Going into coordinatal positions now. We're looking at tropical Placidus, Leo ascendant, so identity, vitality, self-presentation. Moon in Leo, first almost exact conjunction with the ascendant at 0 degrees 20. Sun in Aquarius, 7th, core identity and relationship, other. Mercury in Aquarius, retrograde, 7th, mind, communication. Venus, Capricorn, in the 6th, values, aesthetics, and work. Mars in Pisces in the 9th, drive, adventure, belief. Jupiter in Virgo in the 2nd, expansion, resources, also retrograde. Saturn in Aries in the 9th, structure, discipline, father, authority. Uranus in Virgo, retrograde in the 3rd, liberation and rupture. Neptune in Scorpio in the 4th, idealism, dissolution of roots. Pluto in Virgo, retrograde in the 2nd, transformation of resources and self-worth. And Rahu in Aries in the 9th, which, I will say this is a mistake here, guys, because, why? When you have the North Node, actually, that's not a mistake, I'm so sorry. I was thinking about my own fucking chart. Wow. So I have my natal Rahu in the 12th house, and for some reason I was going to say, I think everyone has it in the 12th. I don't know. That was a fart bubble mind. Fart bubble mind. Yeah, that's what we'll say. So, let's get into the midheaven. We see he has midheaven Aries in the 10th cusp, and he has Chiron and Pisces in the 9th. And data is compiled from Astro Data Bank, AA certificate positions, and cross-check public ephemerides. Slight variations, adding, subtracting a few minutes of arc exist between software packages due to delta T and house algorithms. Alright, so the defining signature we see is Moon ascendant conjunction in Leo. This is the single most striking feature of the chart. It's the near exact conjunction of the Moon and the ascendant in early Leo, an orb of 0 degrees 20. In classical and modern practice, this configuration produces an identity that is experienced as identical with emotional need. The person is what they feel. We see Leo rising with Moon conjunct gives dramatic self-presentation, a hunger for authentic experience, and a deep intolerance of inauthenticity or emotional compromise. The native's life becomes a stage on which the emotional self must be lived at full volume. So this even gives us a clear example of why he might have lived the life he lived. When the signature is combined with Saturn and Aquarius in the 7th house, a profound tension appears, okay? The Leonine need for personal myth and radiant selfhood versus the Aquarian drive toward detachment, collective ideals, and radical freedom from ordinary relationship bonds. Mcandless's life can be read as the dramatic working out of this axis. Psychological and archetypal profile. So look at the core archetype. Romantic exile, sacred tramp. A modern expression of the Iranian Neptunian wanderer who rejects inherited structures, which is what? Saturn in the 9th, as well as Pluto, Uranus, and Virgo, in favor of an unmediated encounter with wilderness and truth. That 9th house emphasis, Mars, Saturn, Node, and Chiron, points to a life organized about belief, quest, and the search for ultimate meaning outside conventional religion or career, or both. Shadow dynamics. The Moon ascendant Leo needs recognition and emotional validation, yet the Sun in the 7th house in Aquarius and the heavy 9th house Lord push towards solitary freedom. This can produce a pattern of idealizing the road or the wild while remaining unable to sustain ordinary intimacy. The death and isolation can be seen without romanticizing as the extreme expression of this unresolved polarity. Father authority complex. Saturn in Aries in the 9th, square or intense relationship with the Leo personal points, correlates with the documented difficult relationship with the father and the reduction of the expected professional path, the gift of the quest star telescope at graduation, and the subsequent complete severance are classic Saturn in the 9th geomatizations. And the Key life event correlations, rectification, validation. So May through June of 1990, graduation and departure, secondary progressed moon, moving through the relationship axis, solar arc contacts involving the ninth house planets in the node, the decision to donate the college fund and disappears a pure ninth house Uranian act time by these directions. April 28th, 1992 is the day he was last seen alive, the Stampede Trail, transiting Uranus and Neptune, forming significant patterns to the natal angles, and the moon ascendant, progressed moon in a critical degree relative to the freedom axis. Mid-August 1992, death window, multiple outer planet transits, directed arcs converging on the natal 8th, 4th, and the moon ascendant. The chart does not predict death in a fatalistic sense. It shows a period of extreme vulnerability when the Leonine life force was under maximum outer planet stress, while physical resources, second house Pluto, Jupiter, were depleted. And on to original methodologies and techniques employed here. First is event density confirmation protocol. Rather than hunting for an unknown birth time, the AA time is subjected to a battery of independent timing techniques. Only if the majority of techniques lock onto the same angular and lunar structures is the time accepted at full confidence. This protocol is original to this research series. Archetypal polarity mapping. So the chart is mapped as a living tension between two poles. First being Leo moon ascendant, personal myth, emotional radiance, the need to be seen, versus Aquarius sun in the 7th, and Uranus Pluto, detachment, collective ideal, rupture of form. Every major decision in the biography is scored for which pole is temporarily dominant. This yields a dynamic rather than static reading. 9th house quest vector. All planets and points in the 9th, Mars, Saturn, Node, Chiron, are treated as a single quest vector. Their combined condition describes the style of the life journey. Pioneering yet wounded Chiron, disciplined yet rebellious Saturn and Aries, driven by belief Mars and Pisces. The death location, Alaska, far 9th house terrain, is consistent with this vector reaching its geographic extreme. Fixed star and mythic overlay selected. Regulus, leadership part of the line, is relevant to the Leo ascendant. The nodal axis in Aries Libra echoes the warrior exile myth. These overlays are used sparingly and only when they reinforce the primary planetary narrative. Multi-system resonance check. So although this dossier remains primarily tropical Western, a conceptual sidereal and whole sign view is briefly consulted to test whether the same life themes, exile, quest, emotional absolutism, survive the shift of reference frame. They do, increasing confidence in the core reading. Synthesis, the chart is a living myth. Christopher Mcandless' chart does not merely describe a personality, it stages a myth. Okay, the near exact moon ascendant conjunction in Leo makes the emotional self the vehicle of identity. The Aquarian sun in the 7th, the loaded 9th house, turned that identity toward radical freedom, idealism, and the reduction of ordinary bonds. The life becomes a deliberate experiment in unmediated existence. So the tragedy in the bus on the Stampede Trail is the point at which the experiment met the limits of the physical vehicle, a limit already written in the tension between the radiant Leo life force and the outer planet forces of dissolution and rupture. This reading refuses both romantic hagiography and dismissive pathologizing. It treats the chart as a precise symbolic instrument that illuminates why this particular individual at this particular historical moment chose the path that became legend. And technical appendix and caveats. So primary data. Astro Data Bank AA, birth certificate. House system used for tabulated positions, place it as standard for this research series. Timing techniques reference secondary progressions, solar arc directions, outer planet transits, as well as progressed moon phases. No claim is made that astrology causally determines events. The language is correlative and symbolic. Death timing is treated with maximum restraint. The chart shows vulnerability, not inevitability. This dossier is an original research product intended for serious astrological study and portfolio demonstration. Alright, and now we'll go into this follow-up, which is only 6 pages. And in this follow-up, we get into more of Chris Mcandless's positions. So, for example, it's Swiss ephemeris tropical positions, which are computed here, of course, using Placidus houses, and the positions match Astro Data Bank A data within normal ephemeris delta T variance. We also have a graphical tropical wheel down here, which shows the tropical Placidus placements for Christopher Mcandless. We also, this is just a Swiss ephemeris tropical Placidus wheel. But then there's the sidereal flexurity comparative layer. And now this is things get very interesting as soon as you bring up Vedic astrology, because the Ayanamsa Lahiri at birth, the sidereal position shifts the sun into late Capricorn and the moon into Cancer. The tight moon ascendant conjunction remains now Cancer, preserving the core emotional identity signature while changing the elemental flavor from fire to water. Whole sign houses from the sidereal ascendant further reframe the 9th house quest planets. Looking at the planet sidereal longitude and sign and degree, we get this chart. And let's talk about the whole sign house comparative note, as well as secondary progressions for 1990 and 1992. So, jumping right into it. So, excuse me. In the whole sign houses, from the Leo ascendant, tropical, we see the moon remains in the first, the sun moves into the 7th, Aquarius, and the Mars-Saturn node is stayed 9th oriented, and Uranus-Pluto pair falls in the 2nd. It tells us the core narrative, emotional identity versus freedom quest, is robust across Placidus and whole sign. Sidereal whole sign from Cancer ascendant shifts the same planets to a more watery, protective, yet still quest-driven framework useful for secondary confirmation rather than replacement of the tropical reading. And secondary progression, so secondary progression 1 day after birth equals 1 year of life. The cure periods for Chris Mcandless being his graduation departure in 1990, the age of 22.3 years, as well as the 1992 Alaska window. He was ages 24.2 through 24.5 years old. So we'll look at the point progressions for 1990, progressions specifically for April 1992, and progressions specifically for August 1992. So we see that he had Sun progressed to Pisces 15.80 degrees, then April 1992, Pisces 1770 degrees, and August 92, Pisces 18 degrees exact. Moon went from Gemini, progressed 1990, 4.02 degrees, on to Gemini at 26.79 degrees, progressed April 1992, and progressed August 1992, Cancer 0.45 degrees. So Mercury, Prague 90, Aquarius 19.43 degrees, and progress 92, April, so Aquarius 20.73 degrees, and then Aquarius 20.96 degrees, progressed August 92. Venus, Aquarius, and had Mars and Aries. So what's notable here is that progressed moon moves from Gemini into early Cancer by the death window, a shift from restless mental freedom toward emotional protective themes occurring while outer planet transits stressed the natal moon ascendant. Okay? Progressed Sun advances to Pisces, activating the 9th house quest vector and the natal Mars-Chiron complex. So here is secondary progressed graduation departure chart for 1990. As well as secondary progressed 1992, August. This is his death window chart. And for this integrated synthesis, and what we added on to what we were already talking about here. The Swiss ephemeris computation confirms the AA chart. Moon at 7.42 degrees Leo, ascendant 7.75 degrees Leo, orb equals 0.33 degrees. This remains the defining signature across tropical Placidus, whole sign, and in shifted form sidereal. Secondary progressions for 1990 show the moon in Gemini, consistent with the restless break from conventional life, while the 1992 progressed moon entering Cancer coincides with the final fatal vulnerability in the Alaskan wilderness. The comparative layers do not overturn the primary tropical reading, they enrich it, demonstrating that the core archetypal tension, emotional identity versus radical quest, is robust under multiple reference frames. This follow-up therefore strengthens the original rectification validation and supplies the computational and visual apparatus requested for high-rigor research and portfolio use. And extra technical notes: the ephemeris was ephemeris 2.10 pi Swiss F. Time conversion. Sidereal mode, Lahiri Ayanamsa. Progression secondary day for a year from natal JD. Wheels original matplotlib polar construction 0 degrees Aries at left. Chiron omitted asteroid ephemeris file unavailable in runtime. And all positions computed independently for this dossier. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one with peace and love. Piscean out.